In Ayurveda or the Indian system, we have the three doshas, that is Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. And compared to that, in Western astrology, we have the four humas. Specifically, they are roller, falb, then yellow bile, black bile, and they say they are the four humas. So it is like blood. First, if we break it down further, it would be blood, film, and then choleric, and fourth is melagonic or the black bile. Now, as per the four humus theory, what is important, like we talked about earlier, also, the first digestion that happens in the gastrointestinal tract of fact agreed by the Ayurvedic Tridosha view, and it produces chyle, and its waste products are the fecus and the stools, basically. The second digestion happens in the liver and produces the four humus. It is from where the four humus start, basically. And Ayurvedic conquers it's located in the liver, gallbladder, and spleen, produces blood. Its wastes are eliminated via the bile, urine, and sweat. Now, the third digestion, they say, happens in the blood vessels, because the blood vessels carries the oxygen to all principal organs of the body. The wastes are eliminated via urine and sweat. And in Ayurveda, it is the sadhaka pitta, the various pittas that are associated. Because it is the sadhaka pitta is about brain and skin here also. If you see the middle diagram, you see the sadhaka pitta, basically, because the brain and the heart part or the lungs, they are basically related to the sadhaka pitta. Then the fourth digestion, they say, happens in the tissues. Now, in the final what you call distribution of the four humus into living tissue, its wastes are eliminated similar to the third digestion, that is through urine and your sweat. So they say the four humus originate in liver in the second digestion as follows. That is Bajrika Pitta. Because I have given the diagram, it kind of explains the thing. So I think it needs no further evaluation. The point is, even both the systems, the difference here, that you can proceed to the next slide. The difference is, it is as per the elements. The four humus are as per the elements. And in case of Tridosha, the earth element is redistributed among the three doshas. That is Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. The only difference here is in Tridosha, the earth, we don't have an earth element. Earth element, it's like the Taurus sign goes to Kapha. And Vata sign is Aquarius, and then Pitta sign is Virgo. So 2, 6, and 10 specifically. The Capricorn is the what you call 2, 6, and 10. These are basically redistributed in Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. So that's the only difference here. Here, the Western systems goes by the four humus, you say, and the four elements. It is as per the elements. So next slide, please. This kind of explains the humors. See, blood or sanguine is the element air as per the four elements, and doshas, it is vata, wind, three sex, it is signs Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius. So then coming to the black bile, the melachonic or earth signs. Now in three dosha we don't find any signs. In three dosha we don't find the signs, because the earth sign is redistributed. Now in what you call a kapha, in Vata, Saturn, Rahu, and Mercury, and are into the Vata, and Gemini, Virgo, Libra, and Aquarius. These four signs. Now Virgo from Earth signs is transferred here in three dosha, while in humors it exists. The Earth signs is about the air signs is about blood and sanguine, and earth signs is about black bile or melancholy, or they say the humor. Now signs related to your pitta or fire and earth in Ayurvedic humors, and the planets are like sun, Mars. They are kind of responsible for it. So as regards the four humors is concerned, it is called choleric or yellow bile, and all fire signs correspond here. While here in this case it is the Capricorn sign here goes to Pitta. Next slide, please. See, we have Aries, Leo, Sagittarius, and Capricorn here. Now Capricorn, the earth sign, has been shifted to your Pitta element, or the Pitta humor here. And as regards the four humors is concerned, all fire signs, they belong to the choleric part of it. Similarly, when we come to the Kapha, here it is again water and earth. The Kapha signs are Taurus. Taurus is taken from the earth signs, Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces, and they are as per the four elements. It is the four humors. It is Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces. We proceed further. The only difference here, basically, otherwise all the things that go is like Sadhaka, Lochka, Pitta, and Bhajanga, Bharjaga, Kedka. We won't do it in detail here, these slides. We proceed further because somehow we have explained. They say, they say sun, moon, and ascendant. They are high legs of, or the giver of life, or the giver of health in the body. Sun, specifically, if it is in the signs 1, 7, 10, and 11, or moon in the signs 1, 7, and 10, and 11, then it would be the giver of health, or the high leg of health. Now, it is as per the Raffles astrology, Western medical view. And from then if sun is not in 1, 7, 10, or 11, then it's to be seen from moon, and if it's not in even moon is not there, then it is to be seen from the ascendant, or whatsoever the powerful. Now, as per the Indian view of it, it has to be seen from all three. So you see it from the sun. You see whatever particular bhava, if it is reflected from all three, ascendant, sun, or moon, that particular bhava, or the significator, the planet therein, is most likely to suffer. if it say if a particular part, if the fifth house is afflicted, then the significations related to the fifth house, the planet therein, and then that becomes the major susceptible area of the physical body uh, for a medical astrology point of view. Now, Saturn and Mars, they are considered to be most malefic and the triggers and various diseases. Because see, the diseases that Mars can activate or trigger are of acute nature, certain violent acute nature. The disease can come in with uh, with a force, and it can be acute. It can be uh, uh, unbearable for a period of a time, but it is not chronic. It brings in the disease. Now, Saturn is about wasting degeneration. Now, whatever Saturn brings in, it is long-standing and chronic and degenerative wasting. So basically, these are the two planets that are associated with most of the diseases, and it has been agreed to by both the authorities from Indian point of view and the Western astrology. Now they say that all fire signs are good for body to fight back, followed by the air signs, then earth signs, and the water signs are considered to be the weakest. Now coming to the sun, as per the ascendant is concerned, if sun is in the ascendant, it causes physical disorders of those arising out of cold. Moon is about functional disorders, irregularities of the system. Mars causes inflammatory disorders and accidents. Now, because Mars is about the sudden event, the sudden eruption, sudden something acute. So, and it is all body inflammations are in the domain of Mars only. All cuts, abrasions, they are also a part of Mars. Mercury causes nervous and mental disorders. Jupiter causes blood disorders, diseases due to excesses. Excesses is excess of anything, excess intake, excess of sleeping, excess of exercise, or excess of taking something that is not required for the body. So it is all about excesses, because Jupiter is about expansion. So anything in excess is what brings in the disease. Venus causes complaints due to excesses of pleasures. Something excess of pleasure. It can be all. In addictions, Jupiter is very important, because it brings in it is kind of excess of pleasure. Something we drive something. If we are addicted to say a computer, PC, tablet, or gaming, anything, or say alcohol, drugs, anything, it's excess of the pleasure that the body drives. That is the cause. And Venus is all about excesses due to pleasure that a body may drive or a mind may drive. Saturn, chronic diseases, cold, weakness, and it's all about that. The next slide, please. We move on from here. So for finding seat of disease, not very many books have talked about it. Mostly the books on medical astrology, the Indian system, they talk about the Drekana. The Drekana, and if the first part of Lagna is in the first part of the sign from 0 to 10 degrees, then it would be the head and the neck, then head and neck. So below the neck it would be 10 to 20, and from below waist down it would be 20 to 30 as per the Drekana system. As per the system by William Andrews, it is they take the sixth sign. It is more similar to the Drekna system. They take the sixth sign and see where uh, where it is placed, in which degrees it is placed. If it is in the first part of a sign, then it would be the upper part of that sign. If it is in the middle part, then it would be the middle, and if it is in the lower part, it would be middle. Then another, there is this method about uh, as per the nakshatras, there are some adholmukh stars, or the stars that look downwards. So obviously, as per the gaze, they look downwards. So it would be below the navel or the below the waist diseases, because it's like looking downwards. Now, Urdhva Mukha is above neck. It is looking upwards. Urdhva Mukha is something that is looking upwards. So all nakshatras that are looking upwards, they would be Urdhva Mukha, and Dirgha Mukha is looking at the level, at the same level. So neck to the waist area, or the neck to navel area, is the disease area specifically as per this system. Then coming by another method, this method is not a regular method. It's not found in classics or something. So it's somewhat a bit of improvisation from myself. Though, so it is like if Lagna is 3, 6, 9, and 12 from Sun, disease is below the neck and above the waist. And if the Lagna is 2, 5, 8, and 11 from the Sun, then till neck. And now this 2, 5, and 8, 11 from the neck, it is till the neck. And if the Lagna is 1, 4, 7, 10, then it would be below the waist disease, because 1, 4, 7, 10 specifically would be the Sun would be located in the Kendras itself, 1, 4, 7, 10. So obviously located where, as per the system, so it would be like, it would be looking down. So similar to Adholmukha, it is Adholmukha, it would be looking down. So obviously the disease would be below the waist. So I try to improvise basically on the systems, the Adholmukha, Urdhva Mukha, and as regards to the placement of Sun from the Lagna. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. See the practical example now to how to find the seat of disease. Now, this native has to suffer from diseases in the region of kidneys, or the waist area, from neck to navel area, basically the stomach area, kidneys and related. First it was appendicitis, then there were the kidney stones of 15 mm. You see, as per the Drekna chart for finding the seat of disease, Lagna is in the third. I have not mentioned degrees here. Basically, it is somewhere around 22, 23 degrees or something. So it is in the third Drekna, basically. So that third Drekna, because the third Drekna is rising, so that would mean it is head, particularly. See, in Dreknas, 0 to 10 is head. See? But since that we have to see the Drekna as a seat of disease, we have to see which is rising. That would signify the head. It's not that 0 to 10 would signify the head. It is the Drekna that is rising at that time in the chart as the ascendant, that would signify the head. So the next would be from 0 to 10. 0 to 10 would signify neck to navel area. That is the basic area. So all the planets specifically placed in these degrees, 0 to 10 degrees, would play the part. So that was it. Basically, it was Venus, the sixth lord. Sixth lord is in 11th house here, specifically intensifying the things. And the axis is 511 here. The sign is Libra. Libra obviously is the area related to kidneys and somehow. First, it was appendicitis that was burst. It was a chronic thing. The native was hospitalized for somewhere around 3-4 months, and the seat of disease basically points to that area. And specifically also, if you see the sixth lord going into the 11th house, and at that time it was Saturn, it was Venus Saturn. The dasha was also Venus Saturn. The dasha was Venus Saturn. Venus being the sixth lord is in the 11th, and the seat of disease is also in that, and the 7th is the area specified, the region specified, the kidney area. So as per the Phillips Andrew method, the sixth lord is in 0 to 10 degree, and it indicates because in Libra, it is in Libra sign. The sixth lord is in Libra, so it indicates the kidney area here. As per the nakshatra method, Ashwini is in Triyugmukha, that is below the neck, above the waist, disease. So another method is if the lagna is 3, 6, 9, and 12 from sun. So from the sun, it is lagna is 3. So again, from sun, diseases below the neck and above the waist. So this is how a disease seat of disease can be established. But obviously, in this chart, the seat of disease is very easy to kind of put in. But in certain charts, the seat of disease cannot be that easy to comprehend, or even the 4 methods, they fail along the way. So it's not a sure shot method, but still it kind of, if it's somewhat indicated in the chart, it kind of gives you a clue as to which this from the ascendant, it is 11th.
Sir, I think you broke up for a minute. I mean, probably a few seconds.
It may be something. If we have to see this chart from moon, it is 7th, and moon is in Rahu Ketu axis, and from the ascendant it is 8th. From the ascendant it is 11th, and from the sun it is the first house itself. So the most affected sign and the house is 11th, and the sign is Libra. So till the date, the native had to suffer appendicitis and kidney stones twice. Once it was an 8 mm kidney stone, and next time it was 15 mm kidney stone. And by the grace of God, operation was not required, in the surgical operation or the surgical intervention was not required. The stones went out of the system by the natural method.
Very interesting example, sir.
Ji.
Shall we move on?
Ji. We should move on from here. We already done. Now, as we talked about sympathy and empathy, when we were talking about houses, and it's the sign, like the sign that is in 1-7 axis, 1-7 axis of the sign. See, the disease can be of the either. Like if we talk about Aries Libra, So Libra is associated with the kidneys, and Aries is associated with the head, the brain, and everything. Now the uh, kidneys are so disease can be either of the two. Now and they have given this uh, kind of explained it as per um, the 4 points of the circle. This is a Western view basically. The 4 points of the circle, the cardinal signs, mainly Aries, the eyes, Libra, the kidneys, Cancer, the stomach, Capricorn, the knees, are closely in sympathy with each other. They say, see, because they say ki, the system, this has to be obviously read, and this can be explained. That's a bit lengthy thing, but these signs, namely Aries, the eyes, Libra, the kidneys, Cancer, the stomach, and Capricorn, these are closely related to each other. And trouble in one can frequently manifest in one or the other signs of the circle. For here, the example is given. If we find uh, Saturn in the sign of Fall or Cancer, Cancer-afflicted digestive troubles ensure invariably the kidney will be disturbed. So obviously, like we said, the moon is associated, the sign Cancer is associated with the digestion, and moon is also the digestion, because it's a part of a system. So if there is a kind of trouble in one part of it, it reflects on the other. And eye troubles, so the kidneys and stiff knees, eye troubles are there a selection of food. Basically, people with Saturn Cancer are extremists in the selection of foods. They say this is what the Western view is. Now the second vicious circle is Taurus, the throat, Scorpio, the generative organs, rectum, urethra, nose, Leo, heart and spine. Because you see, we have Leo here, we have Aquarius here. So this is the sign specifically related to the heart axis. Basically, it is the heart circulation axis. The disruption in the system would mean that there is a bit of a problem in the heart area, kind of. So see, so even they say key removal of a part from the system would kind of hinder the bodily functions. There was this lady who had her generative parts removed. Now she is facing some very acute problems related to digestion. She cannot take food. If she tries to take in the food, that food is not retained by the body. It expels it out, because obviously the entire because of the sympathy and antipathy, the view a thing has been removed, a body part has been removed, though it has not affected her life expectancy or something, but still it has brought in a variety of further complications to her system. So the third group is common mutable signs corresponding to cadent houses. The sixth house, which is correlated to Virgo, the 12th Pisces, are especially vital in the horoscope, and are respected basically as per the natural horoscope. The 6th and 12th signs, they are most basically related to the diseases they bring in. Now this sympathy and antipathy, this is from a write-up by Max Handel and Augusta Foss Handel. So basically it was to explain how a particular organ is related to very other organs, and if one part is affected, that can bring in another disease. That is sympathy and antipathy. Similar to it is the excess. It can be, if in the excess, it is Aries Libra, the disease can be either of the two. So, suppose Aries is rising and Libra is in the 7th house. So disease can correspond. There can be susceptibility to the both. That is the 7th house and the 1st house, the 7th sign and the 1st sign, depending on the planets there and the malefic influences or whatever it is. Next slide, please. See, we talked about the axes already. So it's Aries, Libra, Taurus, Scorpio, Gemini, Sagittarius. Obviously, the 7th sign and the sign. So they can bring in a combination of diseases. The person becomes susceptible to the both. It can be Aries and it can be the Libra kind of a disease, Taurus or Scorpio, and so on. So we can move on, because we have explained it and a bit in antipathy and sympathy also.
Yes.
Next. So these are the combinations that I found out related to heart disease. These are something that I found in the class X. But once again, they are not very indicative. They are not very indicative. Specifically, it may depend on the person who's done the translation, the author, or the hint as given by the class X has not been picked up specifically, and I've not been able to assimilate. But still, see the aspect of Saturn on the moon, the first. Saturn and Dagd Rashi from Sun. That is the sign that does not belong to Sun or its nakshatras. Here the Dagd Rashi would be that. So aspect of Saturn on moon, it is a bit understandable, since moon is associated with the 4th house, or wherein the heart is the natural ruler of the 4th house. And the aspect of Saturn, the Saturn's aspect is like it is constricting, cold, and it is wasting aspect. And basically, it is about blockage, degeneration. So this is quite possible. It can trigger the disease, trigger the heart problem or something. Now, 6th lord, if is not, the second is the 6th lord, if not under the aspect of Jupiter, it's Dagd Rashi. Now, this is very broad. This thing, 6th lord, if not under the aspect of Jupiter, and in Dagd Rashi and Nakshatra from Malefic. So this becomes quite broad. 6th lord, and then you have to find Dagd Rashi, then Nakshatra from Malefic. So 6th lord in itself cannot trigger the entire event. Any it's isolated 6th house cannot do anything. Malefic in the 6th trigger heart trouble due to Vat trouble. That is the 3 dosha Vat. Now Vat can be understandable, and the another factor that malefics in the 6th. Now malefics, only Mars does well in the 6th house. They say malefics in the 6th house, they do well to promote the health, but Saturn brings in the complication. And if even if the malefic like Mars is there, another malefic brings in its influence or is associated with that malefic in the 6th house, it brings in the complications. Rather than promoting health, then they are the triggers that brings in the health trouble. So that can be understandable here. Mars, Saturn, and Jupiter in the 4th indicate wound on the heart area and heart trouble. That is understandable. Now, Mars is about inflammation. Jupiter is about cholesterol, and Saturn is about blockage. Uh, when we find when they find the combination of the three, so we find that obviously the problem there is a problem in the heart area, there is a blockage, and the blockage leading to your uh, uh, heart attack, or blockage leading to heart trouble. So this is quite understandable. Mars, Saturn, and Jupiter, uh, uh, as given by Jatak Saradeep, that this is quite understandable. Now, other classics, it is Sarvas Chintamani, Moon in Taurus, and Taurus Cancer. That is again with malefics or Saturn, very broad. Sarvas Chintamani, Moon plus Mars plus Sun without benefic aspects. This is somewhat self-explanatory. Shambhu Hora Prakash, Shloka 14, pains during daytime. This again is the association of Jupiter here with the combust weak Mars and with malefics. Now the other malefic would be the Saturn itself. So this is a hint given here. So once again, we can say it is kind of aligned to the fourth part of Jatak Saradeep. It is similar to that. Now Viram Sem Aloka says Saturn in fourth. So that is very broad here. Now, what are the actual indications in this here? See, as we studied earlier, as we talked about earlier, planet heart, the heart, moon, the chest area, and the blood, Mars about arteries, Saturn about veins, and Jupiter about cholesterol. If they are associated, means Mars, Saturn, and Jupiter, we talked about earlier also. If they are associated, they mean a blockage. Now, this second important part is the 5th and 11th axis, that is Leo Aquarius, is responsible for the circulation. And the 4th house and moon is for the chest area. The usual parameters are the 6th, 8th, and 12th lord, 64th Navanch, the 64th Navansha, and 22nd Rekna lord. Heart attack basically occurs due to the blockage or blockage. It may be due to the inflammation or the other. We move on further with the example of heart disease. This is example 1. Here, this chart belongs to Waylon Jennings, country singer, and the source is Astro Data Bank. Now, on 12th 12/12/1988, he had a triple bypass heart operation. Now, you see the Lagna is Lagna to, that is the axis. Lagna to 7th, the axis is Leo and Aquarius. Now the Leo, when we were talking about in the signs, the houses, and the sympathy, antipathy also, and the axis also. So the 5th 11 axis is responsible for your circulation system, the circulatory system. Now here also, here in this we have moon in the ascendant. The moon is in the ascendant, and the axis is 511, and your sixth lord, the sixth lord Saturn is in exchange with the 8th lord. Now, this kind of complicates things a bit, because the 6th and 8th, they both are associated. 6th is about triggering a disease, 8th is about a long-standing disease or a chronic disease, because this 8th house is associated, both of them are Dushtasthanas basically. Now the 8th is associated, is in the natural rulership or the significator. Is the Saturn itself. Now exchange here. See, now Jupiter, Saturn. Now look for Mars here, because like we said, association of Jupiter, Mars, and Saturn would mean a blockage. Mars is in the 3rd house, in sign Libra. Once again, it is an exchange. It's an exchange between the ninth house lords and the third house lord. Now, this brings in, now Mars aspects Jupiter, and Jupiter and Saturn are in what you call exchange. So this kind of completes the picture here. This kind of completes the picture here because the association of Jupiter, Mars, Saturn. Now Jupiter is cholesterol. Saturn is blockage. Mars is the inflammation. When they go together, when they get associated in a chart like it does here, first indicator in this chart was the 5-11 axis. Then the second is there is an exchange between Jupiter, Saturn, and the association of Mars here. The first being there is likely to be a problem in the area, problem in the heart area, because 5th, 11th axis obviously relates to circulatory axis, and it indicates a problem. Now, from Moon, it is obvious itself because Moon is ascendant, and from the ascendant it's once again 5th, 11th axis, and from Moon and Saturn, from Moon and the ascendant, the 6th lord and the 8th lord, they happen to be the same, because it being from Sun, it is 8th. From Sun, Jupiter is 8th, and specifically now Sun aspects the 5th house here. Sun aspects the 5th house here, and Saturn also does the same. 4th house is under the influence of in the Rahu Ketu axis. 5th house is under the aspect of Sun. So the 4th house, the 5th house, and the lords therein. Mars is the lord of the 4th house, and Jupiter being the lord of the 5th house here. So in all, the 4th and 5th houses and the lords here, they are kind of afflicted, or here the 4th lord is not under the direct affliction, but it is the 4th lord is specifically retrograde also, and it is an exchange. It is involved in the exchange. It goes to the 9th house. So in all, it completes this association of Jupiter, Saturn, and Mars. Jupiter, Saturn, and Mars being your significator of the blockage. So that was it. They triggered a blockage, and thereby triple surgery, bypass operation because of the blockage. Now here, if you go by it, the 4th house, as I said, is in Rahu Ketu axis. Time of surgery, at the time of surgery, the dasha sequence was Jupiter, Moon, and Saturn. Moon, obviously, as we have seen, it is a part of the system, the part of the heart system. Then Saturn is the 6th lord here. Jupiter is the 8th lord here, and Jupiter is also the lord of the 5th house. So it is quite visible from the dasha sequence Jupiter, Moon, and Saturn at the time of triple bypass surgery, that was in December 1980 to 1988. Moon is weak and malefic in the chart, because and the Sun is in Dagda Rashi. Now Sun being in Dagda Rashi, lord of 64th Navansh is Moon here, and Moon sits in the sign Leo, associated with the heart. And as regards to the 22nd Drekna, it is Jupiter. Jupiter is the lord of the 22nd Drekna. So now this is quite visible here. fourth and fifth houses, they are somewhat afflicted. Their lords are under affliction, and the lord of fourth house specifically has retrograde. It is retrograde and in a sign, in enemy sign, but thereafter it is also involved in an exchange. So in all, now coming to the transits, the transit at that time was Saturn was in Sagittarius. That was fifth from Moon. Once again, it is the ascendant itself is Leo, and the axis is Leo Aquarius. Now from Moon, the transit happens to be in the fifth house. The fifth house signifying the heart and the spine area. The transit from the Moon it is fifth, from the ascendant it's fifth, and from the Sun it is seventh. So it was in Sagittarius, and Rahu and Ketu here while the event happened was in Leo Aquarius. Once again, this brings in the emphasis on this the signs, the signs Leo and Aquarius, and the axis of Leo Aquarius, heart and circulation, basically heart and circulation, and the association of Mars, Jupiter and Saturn meant blockage to the area due to the inflammation caused. So it was a triple bypass heart surgery that happened in December 1988 to the country singer, a famous country singer from America. So and this is how specifically it happened in the chart.
Sir, one question here. When you say Dagda Rashi, are we referring to the definition of Dagda Rashi, which is as per the definitions which is given in?
Yeah, it is as per the Dagda Rashi from the Tithi itself.
Tithi itself, okay.
And from the Tithi itself.
Okay, thanks.
Now, heart disease example to here. Here you see again, Saturn is in Aquarius, and it is aspecting the fifth house. The Mercury here is the sixth lord in association with the Jupiter in the sign Aries with the Gulick. Now, a corresponding factor here is Gulick associated with the ascendant, or Gulick in the ascendant itself, it is not very conducive for the health of the native. So, and further on, Jupiter here is the lord of 12th and 9th in exchange with Mars, 1st and 8th lord. So, and Saturn is aspecting this combination. The Saturn is aspecting this combination by the third. Again, this points to Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn association and the blockage. You see, Saturn aspects the first house. There is an exchange between Mars and Jupiter. So once again, there is an association of Jupiter, Saturn, and Mars, and the pointer, the indication that the things are not right. Things are not right as related to the heart is concerned. Saturn itself is an Aquarius sign. So in Aquarius sign, it's like it indicating some problem in the area, the 5th, 11th, because it is aspecting the 5th house as well. Now, Moon here is the 4th lord in the 8th house, and that too debilitated. Moon is debilitated here in the 8th house, so Moon is virtually, you can say, basically it has been rendered almost ineffective to kind of bring in some relief or promote some promote the area related to fourth house. So fourth here also, the fourth house lord, the fifth house lord, the fourth house. Specifically, it's not under any serious malefic influence, but the fifth is. So the fourth house lord, the bhava, the general rule that the lord of bhava suffers, the lord of whom goes to 6th, 8th or 12th. So in this concern, the bhava the fourth bhava of this horoscope, because the moon goes to the 8th house and it becomes debilitated also, it's very weak also. So the fourth house suffers, the fifth house suffers, and the fourth lord is in 8th house, fifth lord is in the 12th house. Once again it suffers, and fifth lord is under the fifth house is under the aspect of the 7th aspect of Saturn. Moreover, there is association of Jupiter, Saturn and Mars, indicating that there is a trouble in there is a likely formation of clot and leading to the heart attack. So the dasha sequence was Venus Mercury. Now Mercury is the lord of 6th house here. The lord of 64th Navansh is Saturn, and Drekna lord is Moon. Now Drekna lord is Moon. The Moon is the 4th lord here, and Saturn is the 64th Navansh lord, and it is aspecting the 6th lord in association with the 9th lord, and there is an exchange between Mars and the Lagan lord and Jupiter. So in all, Saturn is influencing mostly all the significators related to the heart. So Saturn indicates a blockage, Saturn indicates a wasting part or a degeneration of that particular part. Being in 511 axis, that is Leo Aquarius axis, it also indicates a problem in the area. It indicates a problem in the area. So at the time transit, Saturn was in Capricorn, Jupiter in Leo, and Rahu in Sagittarius. So here Sagittarius as a sign also kind of figures prominently. We go on further, then the Sagittarius sign also figures prominently here. The reason being when we studied systems, if you recall when we were studying the systems, bodily systems, or the signs. So Jupiter is associated with the arterial system, or the arterial system, and arterial system, Jupiter being the lord of the 9th house, and that particular transit of Saturn is in Aquarius the transit of Rahu in Sagittarius and Ketu in Gemini. So this kind of brings in the problem. So in all, the transit here and the blockage indicators Saturn, Moon and Jupiter. Then the 5th, 11th axis, they are all present here. So the native of this chart belongs to Firozpur in Punjab, and he suffered a massive heart attack at the age of 27, the Dasha of Venus Mercury. Venus being the 2nd and 7th lord. Basically, Venus here is the lord of both the Marka houses, and Mercury is lord of 6th and the 3rd house here. So one blockage is indicated by the troika of the planets Mars, Jupiter and Saturn. 511 axis is affected. Then 4th house and its lord is not very well placed. Apart from it, the 5th house and its lord they are not very well associated. They are badly placed, and because of that, the bhava suffers. Now the fifth lord happens to be the sun, and the sun is in the 12th house. Taking the general rule, the bhava suffers. The bhava suffers whose lord goes into 6th, 8th, and 12th. So here's both sun and moon. Sun is in the 12th house, and moon is in the 8th house. And more so, even the ascendant is in the 12th house. The ascendant lord is in the 12th house, though it is in exchange with the 12th and the 9th lord. So this is quite evident from this example. Affliction of 4th and 5th houses, the lords concerned, and the troika of planets when associated, Saturn, Jupiter, and Mars, they bring in the heart.
Beautiful example.
Thank you, sir.
Next one.